Hi everyone. I fully recognize that it's been 2.5 years since I posted my last video, but I just wanted to give a quick recap of kind of how the last few years have gone. I recorded a lot of little short videos that added up to like 30 minutes, but I didn't really want to waste everyone's time with that. So I just kind of wanted to hit some big things. One was that I had surgery shortly after the last video that I posted. And I know I promised that I would post some videos and pictures from my time in Mexico, but I think I got a little overwhelmed with trying to get my photos in from different places and then trying to figure out how to post that together. So then I just kind of gave up. And then I just kind of gave up on making videos because I got really busy. Progressively over the last couple years, school has gotten much harder for me. And trying to stay motivated in the classroom, especially when I didn't really have anyone that I felt that I could burden with asking to study with me, it was a little bit more challenging for me to get through classroom things. But one of the big things that I struggled with as well was the fact that I had had major surgery on my shoulder. I went into surgery thinking that at most I would have a 4-month recovery and woke up finding out that I have genetically really weird shoulders and that I now had, a year to 14 months of recovery before I was potentially maybe back to normal. And so going into second year was rather difficult for me in that aspect, but also, you're still getting hit with all this info. Not only are you getting hit with a ton of info in any veterinary program everywhere in like the time span of a semester, but here at Illinois, we have 8-week time periods that we're getting a semester's worth of info in, or even, less than that, because some of our courses are only half of the quarter. They're 4 weeks long. And so it just became very hard for me because I couldn't find the motivation to study, but then I also couldn't turn to these things that I really loved and enjoyed, like volleyball or tennis. And it became very hard for me to stay motivated in all that I was doing. Anyway, so from there, second year was meh. During one of our quarters, we actually have what's called the OSCE and then the milestone, where the OSCE is kind of a clinical skills test, and then the milestone is about maybe 100 questions, 150, that ask us about things like anything from the beginning of our first year through the time that we actually take the test. And so that was fun. Passed it, but little difficult there. And then, same thing with that I kind of talked to you guys about in first year. Going into that 8 weeks being in the clinic was really awesome. It was a nice break from the monotony of the classroom. We actually get to put our hands on animals, learn some really clinically relevant things. And so that was like a nice boost. Also, partway through my second year, I was elected to be a regional leader for the National VBMA board. I may have mentioned VBMA before. It's the Veterinary Business Management Association. If you're in vet school or planning on being in vet school, even if you don't want to be a practice owner, I highly recommend being a member at your university. It's more than just business ownership, and it's smart. It's a very smart thing to do for yourself, is to at least go to the lectures, even if you're not necessarily a member. It's a lot of really good information. Anyway, sorry about that tangent. I made it through second year. Between second and third year, what did I do? I went to Arizona and I did a student job program at Banfield. And a lot of people have had really mixed kind of experiences at Banfield. I had a really, really wonderful time. And I think that this in a large part had to do with the fact that I had a fantastic mentor. She was very good at answering my questions and kind of giving me like little assignments to look up things and present them to her on my own. All of the other practice team members there at that Banfield were really awesome. They were really accepting. They taught, even the nurses taught me a lot. And I just overall really, really enjoyed my experience there. because I was also then elected, after my second year, I was elected to be a national board member on the 2018 National VPMA board. And when they elect a new board, they send the whole team. It's a yearly thing. All 6 members are veterinary students that run the entire organization on a it's more than like a nationwide level, because we also have chapters at the island schools. And so regardless, we run the whole entire organization. And to work better as a team, we sent the 2019 board members back in June, but a year ago, my team, my board, we went to what's called the Veterinary Leadership Experience, and I can't even tell you how amazing this experience was. It was very life-changing. We spent the entire week learning basically about ourselves, and then understanding how other people that have different personality types kind of respond to us in different ways. Like, I never thought that I could be a terrifying person, but then learned that some people with different personality types actually find me really scary, in the way that I do and say things. And it's just the way that they read me. And so it's, it was really amazing. And I learned a lot in the sense of communicating with clients, also communicating with team members, but then even down to friendships and people in your family that you're interacting with on a daily basis, how these things can be valuable in just everyday life. So if you ever have a chance to go to the VLE experience in Post Falls, Iowa, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever done in my life. After that, I went back to Arizona to finish up my student job program, and then went to Colorado, where I did a couple weeks in the lab animal department at Colorado State University, which was really cool. Actually, the doctor that was running that, he works in the lab animal department there. He actually was at VLE, so I got to meet him a few weeks before I actually arrived, in person for my externship. So that was kind of cool. But I got to learn a lot there. And then I actually did a mission trip. I went to Honduras with Christian Veterinary Mission, and also a life-changing and wonderful experience to really see how a different community kind of works in a totally different country. They're not as well off as we are. They don't treat their animals the same. And I grew a lot. For instance, there was this one case where, we're sedating and anesthetizing animals with just injectable anesthesia, and then kind of monitoring them while we do spays and neuters on dogs and cats. We castrated horses, we vaccinated dogs and cats, and dewormed tons of head of cattle and other random, sometimes we had a pig or so, something interesting. So I think one day there was a bunny, and then someone also had a bird that we didn't do anything with, but I obviously wanted to love on it, so I made it my friend. Anyway, there's this one day, some of these cats that we got were pretty fractious. They're not handled. They're just outdoor cats that people leave food out for. And this little girl brings me this cat. They're usually in a bag. And I wasn't comfortable with injecting the cat through the bag. I'd like to see what part of the animal I'm poking. And when I injected it, a lot of the time cats will kind of freak out, and it ended up bolting, and it ended up in a puddle of water where it drowned. And apologies, this was very hard for me because I blamed myself, because this kitten was my responsibility, and I made the choice to pull it out of this bag. And so one of the biggest things that I learned during that experience was that I needed to give myself grace. As a doctor, one day, any given day, you make decisions on behalf of your patients, and you present what you believe is best to do with that patient to the owner. And you use your experience, you used, data from research that has been done, and you make decisions based on all of that for what is best for your patient. And what I decided was to pull that cat out of the bag because I was not comfortable with poking it through the bag. And I had to accept that, yes, something bad came out of that experience, but you know, I need to stand by that. Like that was the right thing to do for me. And so, you know, who's to say something bad wouldn't have happened even if the cat had stayed in the bag. But it was a hard thing. And I actually got a really wonderful note from one of the doctors was there, even explaining that to me, you know, like, you're going to grow through some of these experiences that you make. And I'm really sorry. It was hard. And you're going to go through it as a veterinary student, and you're going to go through it as a doctor someday. And it was, not that I'm saying it was nice to go through that experience, but it was kind of ideal to go through that experience under the circumstances, to be surrounded by such wonderful people that were there on the mission trip with me as well, and to have that support when that actually happened. Anyway, moving forward, shortly after that, I flew back to Illinois from Honduras, and we started our third year of vet school. Yay! And the third year was more difficult for me than second year was. I'm one of the few people, I think, that I know anyway here at Illinois where second year is harder than first year, third year was harder than second year. Most of the people I've talked to, it's gotten better year by year. But for me, it's just been harder every year. Maybe not here as a fourth year, but sitting in the classroom and the things that we're learning were more clinically relevant third year, which I highly appreciated. I just think that my motivation, you know, I would study, I'd work so hard, and then my grade on the test just wouldn't show that I was doing that well. And so I did end up finding a few people that I was finally able to make friends, so to say, with this year of vet school, and I really appreciated the opportunity to sit and study with some people occasionally. It wasn't super often, but it was nice, that's for sure. Sorry, I had to move because my dogs are barking because someone came home. Anyway, so I really appreciated that I had people there, but I also made sure that I took time to do things for myself. I really started running through second year, and you know, I did my first half marathon that I really trained for second year, and running became a huge part of my life because I wasn't able to do volleyball anymore. So it kind of became one of my things that I did all the time: running, cross training, training for races. And I was elected to the national board, as I said, for VBMA, and the half marathon, or the Walt Disney World Marathon weekend actually lines up the weekend before the national meeting most years. And so I went out early last year and I did that. I did the half marathon. I'm actually going back this year because I have to train my incoming marketing director, kind of hand off my role as the marketing director in January. And so I'm running the half marathon and my first full marathon. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, but I kind of started to realize third year that these things that I was doing to be more mentally healthy were vastly important, because I think in veterinary medicine, we neglect ourselves and we try so hard to care for our patients and to make sure our practice is running smoothly, or, you know, this, that, or the other, and we just don't give ourselves enough time to do the things that we appreciate. And so third year, I also did another show, and even though I felt like I was struggling more in the classroom, I was still learning a lot. You know, we have junior surgery. I did great in my surgeries. Not saying I won't always, I will always be great, but I did well, and I enjoyed my time working with my junior surgery teams. Was kind of an interesting thing, but beside the point. So working through third year, we did another clinical test at the end of our technical classroom portion, and then jumped into clinics in March. And I've been on clinics since then. I've been to a few zoos, done a few of the rotations here at Illinois that are required. I've been off campus a lot. I went off campus for my imaging because we didn't have a board certified radiologist at the time that I was taking imaging. So I am really enjoying my time overall as a fourth year on clinics. It's difficult. I'm actually currently on ER, my second round of ER, and it's kind of soul-sucking in some aspects because a lot of my patients have had to be euthanized or coded, and we weren't able to bring them back and things like that. So that's hard, but it comes with being in the emergency room, so you have difficult clients, you have difficult doctors to work with and things like that. But if you guys want to hear about anything specific, just leave a comment and let me know. And I'm hopefully going to come up with some more things to talk about for another video. Stay cool, peeps. I wanted to give a shout out to Terrence at the vet school because he is the one who encouraged me to do my video blog again. And even though I don't feel like this video was really that useful, he said it's good for people to know. And then the other thing is that I wanted to introduce you to my new baby. This is Zeke. He's a handsome boy. He says, I'm wearing a Halloween sweater because it's Halloween, and I'm 8 months old, and I'm so handsome. Thanks for watching, guys.